So, has anybody else noticed the trend with racing games where you seem to get kind of excited, or maybe you end up getting excited for a new racing game and you might have even played it every day for around, let's say, a month, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, a day comes by and you go, dang, I haven't logged on to this game in weeks, and there really isn't a reason for me to even log on, or I'm not even feeling motivated to get on that game. And I think this is kind of happening to a lot of modern racing games. And the thing is, guys, I don't really think it's necessarily because the games are bad, but I also kind of think it's along the lines of how they are going to be designed that is pretty much burning players out. Now, there's a few things here I really wanted to touch on, guys. The first one here is probably the most obvious, and that is the honeymoon phase of basically any game. Now, we do know a lot of them can be really fun. I mean, the launch is going to be hyped up, man. We got a new map, we got some new cars. Everything will end up feeling very exciting for a honeymoon type of phase in these games to where you love it. Every single race, you feel like you're unlocking things, you're, playing with your friends and all that, and then after a little while, you go, dang, okay, wait a minute. Well, I noticed a few things here and there. This is going to be really genuinely fun, and you probably noticed that because of the initial hype of the game. You probably can't wait to jump in and explore the new map and find some new cars. But the thing is, though, guys, I really noticed this doesn't actually show up as quickly as some might think. It could take a month or so. And in Forza's case, I think it might have happened way quicker than I thought, guys. I'm not going to lie. People burned out of this game way quicker than what I expected. But the thing is, though, you're going through something that a lot of players probably would end up experiencing, especially if you did end up playing. And I have touched on this in a few different videos, as the entire series fatigue and different things of players might end up enjoying the game for a little while and then realizing that it's super similar to the previous ones, or it's basically almost the exact same game with a few different changes like the map or something. Do let me know what y'all think about that, by the way. But the other part of this, though, is the entire weekly checklist thing that is basically replacing the actual fun in these games. And guys, this has been something I have literally thought about for weeks, okay? Like, a lot of people wanted to go, okay, what do I want to race today? What do I want to do today on the game? Do I want to go drive around in the mountains? Do I want to drive around in the city and just drift around? What do I really want to do today? And the thing is, you could still probably enjoy something like that. But the thing is, though, once you get to a certain point in the game, you start to do something a little bit different. When the weekly checklists of the festival playlist and different things start to pop into the game, the questions don't go, oh, I don't know what I want to race today. Instead, they go to, what do I need to finish? Or, oh, does the entire festival playlist expire in 20 minutes or 30 minutes? Do I need to do this? Which challenges in this checklist do I need to do? AKA the festival checklist, by the way. That's kind of what I'm calling it at this point. And that kind of changes the way you might end up wanting to play. Like, you're not really going to have that excitement because all of that fun factor you had when you were doing those things, if you wanted to race some of your favorite cars, it's really not that you're racing. It's more of that you have to complete the homework for that week in the game. And a lot of players probably don't want to be bothered with that. But there's another side of it with the weekly entire playlist design of how these games are, guys, because Motorfest does it, Gran Turismo. A lot of the games have different things that kind of have an expiration date. Need for Speed Unbound had the entire pass design to it, which is still in the game because the game is kind of closed off now. Super unfortunate. But the thing is, though, when you start looking at some of that stuff with the entire playlist design, you also have the other side of it, which is the rewards. That honestly, in a lot of racing games, I'm going to be real, guys, they are legit terrible. Okay, a lot of it is not that great in the new racing games that we have nowadays. The rewards kind of just feel like fillers. It's almost like they're having to put older things in there, or they're removing certain things from the other game, or even not removing it, but the new game might come out. They might still use the rewards of the old game, the Crew 2 cars and Motorfest, or the old Forza cars you're unlocking for the 6th time or something like that after having it in the other game. But this time you actually have to wait for a festival playlist to give it to you. A lot of people might realize that the rewards are kind of just losing their meanings in these games now, and that will also burn a lot of players out, man. Older games would give you, okay, we got this one car. This actually felt really cool because you wanted that one car. You worked toward it in the old games, or you had to do certain things and progress toward it, so it felt better when you did end up getting it. This can also go for like a rare unlock or something. Kind of just felt more special back in the day, where I feel like modern games are just having hundreds of cars, constant giveaways to you, and different things that rewards and all that every single week that you kind of have to do, or you lose out on the rewards. Like back in the day, guys, when you got a Lamborghini or a certain amount of car, right? you probably went, dang, this is so dang cool. But nowadays, you're like, oh, look, another Lamborghini. That's so cool. But everything might end up being rewarding, but nothing actually feels rewarding, man. Anybody else feel this way with how new modern racing games are, or even some games in general? But I'm kind of focusing on that side. It's kind of wild to me. Let me say that again. Everything is rewarding, but nothing really feels rewarding at this point, dude. It's kind of wild. Like, even cars nowadays in these games are basically just disposable, bro. You might end up getting some cool, because back in the day, guys, I'm gonna be real, you used to build insane memories with some of your favorite cars in the old racing games, the old Need for Speeds, even old Forzas. I'd say 1 and 2 for me at least. As back in those days, I would use one car and go, okay, I gotta beat these races, I gotta progress. It makes me think about Need for Speed Carbon a lot, because in that game you have to use one car for a while, even if you don't want to. Same with something like Midnight Club Los Angeles, man. You've got to use that one car to level that thing up. And by the time you're a little bit farther, bro, you are 100% gonna have memories with that thing. And I think that's something I really connected with the older Need for Speed games. And speaking of that, guys, hot take, I'm about to probably do another video on this in the future. I would rather have way less cars, by the way, and way more customization and personalization than having 900 cars that don't really mean anything to you. You know what I mean? Because nowadays, a lot of people are looking at the cars, they get a new car from a reward in Forza or even Motorfest. They drive it 1 or 2 times, and guess what? They probably never touch that car again because they're kind of just grabbing the cars. They're almost disposable. Oh, look, another car. That's cool. Anyway, back then, you would get a car and it felt really special because you had to upgrade that car. You might have spent hours on it getting some of the things on that thing that you could then run on some of the other races. But nowadays, I kind of think people just get any of the cars, drive it 1 or 2 times, and basically just dip, bro. Like, let me ask you all this question. A lot of the new cars coming out in these racing games, a lot of players get excited because the cars are obviously drip fed or something to you. You would end up driving those cars. Even for me, I would jump on, drive some of them, and go, okay, this is cool. Anyway, what's next? Well, what do I do next? I drove this new car for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm kind of bored now. And the other insane part, though, is I have talked about some similar stuff in other videos, but I wanted to also mention this in this one as it kind of plays a role in everything else I've really talked about here, which is the fear of missing out, aka FOMO. Right, you gotta log in this week to get these cars. If you miss this event, you miss this car, you'll lose this reward. It will end up creating a pressure to you that you pretty much have to log on because it's an obligation to do so. And guess what that's going to do, guys? It will end up making it so players will end up burning out even more because they're going to be like, okay, I have to do this because if I don't, I'll miss this for around 4 to 6 months because then it might end up coming back into the game like the entire Prestige Shop and Motorfest, right? You might end up missing a car, but you still got to wait 3 to 6 months before you can get it, which is kind of insane. It will end up making it so players go, okay, I really don't care about this stuff anymore. You know what I'm saying? It really is an endless cycle I kind of think about with this stuff because every single week you see a new playlist, you see a new summit, you see some rewards you have to go after, and then you pretty much repeat that every single week because there's really no anticipation anywhere, man. You look at it and you go, okay, I have to do this again. Let me log on this week and do this summit. I don't want to. Let me log on and do the festival playlist. Or, oh, I got to do these races on GT7 for a couple 100,000. Man, I don't feel like doing that. I'm kind of exhausted. It's the thing is, guys, content in games is supposed to be exciting for a lot of players because the thing is, if the content really never does stop, then eventually you'll end up having the opposite effect of that where players might be like, okay, I'm tired of this content. Can y'all like slow down a little bit and stop giving me peanuts for stuff and maybe give me some bigger stuff to do because these little pieces of excitement ain't gonna really work anymore. At least that's what the companies are thinking, that you will be excited when a lot of the stuff just puts you in like an endless loop of content that seems to be almost the same. And y'all know what though, there is another side of this I wanted to mention. I've talked about this in that one video where I talked about how old games did not need live service. This is kind of the same part of that, man. Old racing games lasted, they're still talked about today. None of those games had the battle passes, weekly festival playlists, or summits, or rewards that basically expired if you weren't obligated to log on and do some of it. So yeah, that's kind of something people would talk about. But instead, the older games actually felt fun. The progression in those games was satisfying when you got something you really did love it. I felt that way the entire time in Need for Speed The Run, Carbon, the old Need for Speed games, even Forza Horizon 1 felt so dang satisfying going through the entire story. Racing and all that stuff was actually enjoyable. This is also why people still go back and play games like Need for Speed Carbon, Midnight Club, MX Unleashed years later. It's not because of the weekly rewards waiting for them, man. It's because they jumped into those games because of the main core gameplay, which again, I talked about this in that one video, but I had to mention it in this one because, bro, it literally ties into everything else with how these games are. I mean, people are basically burning out of old racing games, and they are going back to games from 15 to 20 years ago. Should tell you kind of everything that you need to know at this point, man. It's honestly absolutely insane. And speaking of that, though, the other part I wanted to add on to this, though, is I don't really think racing games need less content in a way, but I think they probably need the content that makes players want to come back to it, man. Not making the content that makes them feel like they have to come back. You know what I mean? It needs to be there to make players want to come back, not have to come back. That's one of the biggest things I kind of think about. A lot of the content being added with the drip feeding or the entire live service design is, I feel like, in a way making it so players have to come back to it, but they don't necessarily want to, as they might not even be that excited. Isn't it crazy, guys? Modern racing games really often reward participation more than the actual passion behind it. What's kind of insane, though, is I have seen a lot of people talking about how they're bored of Forza, they're bored of Motorfest, or just modern racing games are just not hitting anymore, and that's simply because so many of them are designed around the same things. You're going to spend time doing checklists, aka the weekly rewards, and then you have time-limited rewards that are basically there and then they're gone for a very long time or almost forever. If you don't get them right there, then the overall design of the progression, almost like it's kind of the last thing they really do add into these games or kind of think about when they are designing them. They have everything else thrown in there, and then they think about the progression. Does anybody else think about that, man? I feel like a lot of the newer games kind of lost that touch of what players really did want, and I'm super curious to know what y'all think about this in the comments below. Why do you guys think players are burning out so fast in modern racing games? What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comments, because I feel like this is a topic a lot of people have been talking about. I've been seeing a lot of different things about Forza, Motorfest, in pretty much Gran Turismo 7, even Need for Speed, modern racing games in general, seem to all have a very odd trend to them that at this point, I don't think players are really happy about. I mean, like, as I said before, I am absolutely mind blown a bit on how fast Forza Horizon kind of fell off, but when you really look at everything, it's unfortunately not that surprising.